I think we have some participants.
Hey, we need to check them out.
Welcome.
Hello, welcome. It is Rick Tofty and I think it's Pat Kiesel. Welcome for the recognition versus appreciation webinar. We'll be getting started here shortly. If you would do me a favor and just put your name in, especially if I messed it up. But if you would let us know where you're dialing in from. That would be great. I know we don't dial in anymore, but you know what I mean. And we are live on YouTube. I didn't think that would work with the number of subscribers. I thought I had to have more subscribers. Pat, it is Pat. Thank you very much. Clarksville, Indiana. That's great. Thank you. Let's see. Anyone else that wants to chime in? Let me know where you're from and your name. That would be nice too. So while we're at it, if you could let us know if there's something specific that you wanted to get out of this call today, Pat, that would be great. And anybody else that's listening in. Just give it a few more minutes while we are having everyone else join. It's about 4 till 2, according to my watch. Hopefully, you all have had a good day so far and a good week. We're going through the hump as we speak. It's almost 2 o'clock on Wednesday, so it's got to be good. And while I'm not talking and trying to fill up air, why don't you text me something of what you're interested in learning more about? Maybe on this call, maybe outside of this call. Maybe there are things that we haven't talked about yet that you would be interested in talking about, and having us talk about, having us do more research to find more about, because you don't have time. Time is of the essence. Nobody has time anymore. It's a hard thing to come by.
Looks like Candy and Mike have joined us. Welcome.
Hey, Candy and Mike, how are you? Thank you for joining us. Come on in, have a seat, a virtual seat, and let us know where you're calling in from, where you're dialing in from, where you're interneting in from, and just let us know, and you let us know your role, if you would as well. And if there's anything specific you were hoping to get out of this meeting today, or if there's something else you would like to learn about. One of the ideas we have for our next meeting, we kind of have a good idea about, but if there's something else you want to have us cover, let us know and we'll cover it. Right, Aaron?
Yeah, we'd love to hear what is brewing in your world and in your workplace. And if there's something we can address and speak to it, we'd love the opportunity. So it looks like Candy's an agency trainer. Tell us a little bit more about that.
And where is St. Helens? Is St. Helens, Ohio? Oregon. Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, I love Oregon. Used to live in Washington State and love that area.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It is a beautiful part of the country. And where is St. Helens? Is St. Helens, Ohio? Whoops. That was Oregon. Oh, okay, cool.
Oh.
I love words.
Are we listening to ourselves now?
We are. This is ironic. Had to turn us off. Sorry about that. Okay, so what else has Candy's got to say here? Teaching staff all the skills to be a great direct support professional. Wow. Okay, so are you? So that makes me think you are not a direct support, a DSP, not a direct support professional, but you help them to become a good direct support professional, right? For the intellectually and developmentally disabled. Oh, you were a DSP for over 10 years. Awesome. Awesome. Well, this is going to be a great conversation then. So a lot of what Aaron will cover today will be applicable to what it is that you are going through right now, Candy, and certainly the rest of you on the line. We are at about 2 o'clock. So I think we're going to go ahead and get started, if that's okay with you, Aaron.
Yeah, that's great.
So a few housekeeping items here before we get started. So you were going to start off in listen only mode. If for whatever reason you get knocked off, just use the same link to get back on. It'll be just fine. Now, the webinar, actually, it's not a webinar. I made that mistake several times before. We're not calling these webinars. These are workshops. So the workshops are really intended to be able to help you do more with what you have, do more with your job, be able to be more successful, more happy, all those things. And anything we can do to help you along those lines, that's what we're here for. As you enter the chat box, and so if there's others that have entered since I started talking, go ahead and put in your name and where you're from and your location. If you would also do me a favor and put in what it is you're hoping to get out of today. Anybody here on the call, just you put in the chat box what you're hoping to get out of today. That would be really helpful. Again, the webinar, wrong. It's a workshop. So, and when I say workshop, that means there's more interaction. So I want to make sure that you know when Aaron asks different polling questions that you respond, obviously, but also as we go through this, there are going to be points where she's going to ask you for other ideas you might have. So I want you to be encouraged to ask those questions or blurt out those different topic matter or different issues, or not issues, it's really topics that you have that you have top of mind. So again, the workshop is stick around until the end of the workshop. We're going to have a raffle after the call is over. But if you stick around and take the survey at the end of the workshop, you're going to be entered into a raffle for a $25 gift card that we will make available to you after the call. Again, we're going to say about 10 minutes at the end for question and answers. And if everyone that completes the survey will be entered into a $25 gift card, or for a $25 gift card raffle. And it looks like we have someone else. And so I'm going to go right into this. So I'm going to say, and now that you're all on this, I'm wondering which of these in this poll would you pick? Which one applies to you the most? And there's the poll. Can you see it, Aaron?
Yes, just popped up.
Okay, good. So I'll give you a few minutes to answer that, and then we'll get going. Okay. Looks like we have some answers coming in. I'll wait another 10 seconds and then I'll close down the poll. 6 out of 9 have answered. Looks like most of you, 71% of you. Oh, okay. You can't see the results, can you, Aaron?
Not yet.
No, okay. Good. So this is interesting. All right, I'm going to end the poll now. And the results are, here they are. So a good portion of you, 67%, believe that you are good at appreciation, but not good at recognition. Okay, fair enough. Well, I'm going to stop that poll. and I am going to bring it down. So, in this session, you're going to hear about Erin Leidy. You're going to hear from Erin Leidy. I mean, she's the organizational effectiveness and leadership coach that's going to be on with us today. Her passion is developing highly engaged leaders who inspire and lead their teams to be more productive and engaged. Without any further ado, please let me introduce Erin Leidy. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Brian. Happy to be here. And for those of you who were on our previous webinar, welcome back. Glad to have you again. And for those of you who are new, welcome. Tell us where you are from and what your role is at your organization and in the chat box. My business is Risen Path Consulting. I'm a leadership and team development coach. So I help leaders improve employee productivity and employee engagement in the workplace. I came about by doing this business because I had about 20 years doing HR work and working with leaders. And then I was actually told one day that I needed to stop being so passionate about doing the right thing. And that's when I decided it was time to start my own business and take what I love and make it my own, and really help leaders be better leaders and help their employees be more productive and more engaged. Okay, so again, hop into the chat box, let us know where you're calling in from. And then if you have specific questions regarding the content, definitely do that in the Q&A. And I know Brian's gonna kind of be watching it. And if something comes up as we're going through the presentation, then he's gonna interrupt me and we'll have a dialogue. So that's kind of where we want you to be involved and be engaged as well. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so we can get started here. All right. Well, do we see my screen there, Brian?
Yes, we do.
All right. Okay, so I'm closing down a few things real quick. All right, so again, here's my business, Risen Path Consulting. There's my website. You can connect with me on LinkedIn if you'd like to. But today, we are talking about appreciation in the workplace. And the same author of 5 Love Languages, if you're familiar with that book, The 5 Love Languages, that author partnered with an industrial organizational psychologist and discovered that those same languages apply to appreciation in the workplace. So we're gonna talk specifically about what those 5 languages are and how we apply that to the workplace. So what we're gonna do is learn the difference between the two, appreciation and recognition, learn the different types, give some examples to really kind of bring it to life. And then just ask that you commit to doing one thing. And we'll kind of ask at the end, you know, what is it that you want to do differently? What are you going to apply? How are you going to keep this alive? You know, the information that we shared today, how are you going to implement it? So we'll be curious to hear that at the end. So the foundation here is people desperately want to feel appreciated and valued in their jobs. And I think we can all speak to that. I know we as employees want to feel appreciated. So obviously our team members and those who report to us also want to feel appreciated. It's just inherent, it's natural. Most people don't feel appreciated in the workplace. And we have data that actually supports this. 80% of employees say they're motivated to work harder when they feel appreciated by their manager. So if you knew you could do one little thing where your employees would feel more appreciated, they would then be more motivated to work harder. So that tells us there's probably a little bit more bandwidth that we can get just by showing them appreciation and making sure they feel valued. 79% of employees who quit their jobs say it's a lack of appreciation as a key reason for leaving. We know most people leave managers, not companies. And when we kind of dig a little bit further, the primary reason is because they just didn't feel appreciated. They didn't feel valued. They just felt like they were a commodity or a machine, and they were questioning why they were there because they didn't feel valued or appreciated. And that shows up on a lot of exit interviews and that type of thing. So I think our next one is our poll. So what percent of managers believe they do a good job showing appreciation to their employees? And we actually just kind of saw this in our first poll where 67% said they do a good job showing appreciation. So what percent do you think applies here? Is it 12%, 34%, 51%, or 82% of managers believe they do a good job showing appreciation?
And it looks like almost everyone has answered the poll. So we are at, oh, I'll just end the poll if that's okay. We good? All right, here we go. Share results.
We have 38% or 13% at 12 saying 12%, 38% think it's 51%, and then 50% think it's 82%. Awesome. And the answer, 51%. 51% of managers believe they do a good job. And a lot of times managers saying, I say thank you all the time, or, I'll buy lunch, or I'll have pizza brought in, or I'll do little things for them. So they truly think they are doing a good job. But the challenge is that they're assuming they're doing the right thing, because ultimately, what's the percent you think employees actually feel appreciated? So here's our next poll. What percent of employees say they actually feel appreciated? Is it 17%, 37%, 57%, or 67%?
Well, and everybody's answered this poll, so I'm going to
Awesome.
share the results.
So we have 80% answering 17% and 20% answering 37%. Awesome. And you're right. Only 17% of employees say they actually feel appreciated. And the key word here is that feel appreciated. So managers might think they are doing a good job, but again, there's that gap there because it's not meaningful to the employee. Maybe the manager is just kind of checking the box and saying, oh, I said thank you, so isn't that good enough? And ultimately the employees just aren't feeling it internally. So we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between recognition and appreciation. So recognition is more behavior focused. You're catching your employee doing what you want them to do. They're doing their job and you're recognizing that. A lot of times it's very company structured and company focused. So they're doing something good for the company. The company has benefited from it. It's typically from the top down. It's kind of a structured program. There's rules behind it. So, if you have a recognition program, sometimes people have to be nominated or you submit things. So that's more of a structured recognition program. And they're great. They're important and they're great. We also need to combine that with appreciation. Appreciation is a blend of performance plus their value as an individual. So we all have intrinsic value. And it's important that we honor that and appreciate that too. It's more personal. It's very focused on the individual. It's not always like results oriented. It's just that intrinsic value comes from all directions. People want to feel appreciated by their leader, their team members, their project members, other colleagues, so all directions, and it's very individualized. So it's not structured, it's very personal, it's very focused on the individual. So hopefully that kind of helps separate the two, and they're both important in the workplace. Now, there are definitely signs of people not feeling engaged, not feeling valued, not feeling productive. So I have a feeling we've all seen these at some point in the workplace. We might be guilty of them ourselves. So some of these might look somewhat familiar to you. If you see people who are just discouraged, they're resistant to things, resistant to change, they're late for work, they're missing a lot of days, overly cynical or sarcastic, just apathetic and passive, social withdrawal. They used to be a part of going out or, doing fun things with the team, and they're no longer doing that. It just all leads to a negative work environment. And then that spreads and it impacts everyone. And you have to be able to kind of stop it early, so it doesn't create a negative workplace environment. And these are all signs of someone just not feeling valued, not feeling appreciated. When you do have an organization where people feel valued and appreciated, you're going to see a lot more engaged employees. You're going to see improved relationships, improved job satisfaction, less turnover, increased productivity, better culture, and just overall happier people, happier leaders, employees, customers. As a leader, as a manager, it's less work for you to do on recruiting and interviewing and hiring and training and all that. So just this little piece that we're going to dive into around appreciation is really important, and it encourages people to want to get up and want to go to work and stay at work and stay at that employer. All right. So this is one of my favorite quotes. Next to physical survival, the greatest need of a human being is psychological survival, to be understood, to be affirmed, to be validated, and to be appreciated, from Stephen Covey. And we just don't do it often enough. We can apply what we're gonna hear today in all areas of our life, not just the workplace, but we can apply this to all relationships and areas. So I have a fun video before we go further. I have a fun video of what not to do. So this is kind of extreme and it's exaggerated. So I'm going to flip over and show you the video. And it's about 3 minutes of what not to do.
Amazing job.
Uh-oh.
Reward you with the gift of song. You're doing great. There's no one better than you. You are crushing it.
August, you closed such a huge deal. It makes such a big difference. I mean, big money. You made me look phenomenal. Just want you to know your work does not go unnoticed, okay? The leadership team and I got you a little something.
Oh, wow. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
Emil, man, you've had a really kick butt last couple of years. And to reward you, I would like to welcome you to the Employee Stock Option Club. Let me explain. We're going to start you off with 500 shares of phantom equity. Not worth anything today per se, but as you can see, if you stay for just 6 more years, we're going to give you 1/12 of the company's future earnings. 1/12 of future earnings. 20 years from now, backdated 72 months, of course, at a discount of 40%. As long as you hit at least 85% of your KPIs and objectives over the next consecutive 16 quarters. Pretty awesome, right?
So Jeff, I've been watching you around the office, and you've been doing such a great job that, as a token of my appreciation, why don't you go ahead and take Friday off? We do have that white paper that's due on Friday, but I'm gonna take the day off. Leave your email open though. Might have a few emails for you. Maybe a couple texts if you need something really urgently. Do you have Slack installed on your phone? Let me get the marketing channel pulled up. Yeah. Friday's yours. GChat, Snapchat. I may have to slide into your DMs. Skype. Yeah, go ahead and leave all those open. Are you on Friendster still?
Greg, you've been doing a kick butt job lately, man. I just got this chocolate. I mean, I would never put it in my body, but I'm pretty sure you would. You like this kind of stuff, right?
Everyone, I just want to recognize Joey for a phenomenal sales week. Did a great job applying all of the lessons I've taught you. And it's really great to see my hard work pay off.
I just want to let you know you've been doing such an amazing job. I wanted to give you this as a token of my appreciation.
Thank you so much. You really shouldn't have.
All right, so hopefully you were chuckling in your seat as you were watching that. But so I have a feeling maybe we've experienced some of those, not to that extreme. but maybe we've experienced a little bit of that, like the fake day off, but make sure you're available. So just a few things to not do. Okay, so let's jump into the 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace. If you're familiar with what these languages are, throw them in the chat box. Let's see who knows what some of these languages are. If you know one, just type in the one you know. If you know all of them, type in all of them. So we're curious to see what you know.
I see crickets right now.
Okay.
I don't think that's one of the love languages, is it?
Cricket is not.
The languages of appreciation.
Yes, the languages of workplace appreciation. So here they are. Words of affirmation, acts of service, quality time, gifts, and touch. Touch is one of the 5. It's not super appropriate in the workplace, but we do talk about it very little because it is important to some people. And given our current environment, we have to be even more sensitive to touch in the workplace. So we're going to talk more specifically about each one of them, and we'll start with words of affirmation. So this is praise for accomplishments or achievements, and words of affirmation is pretty much the most common one that managers and leaders will go to. The key is to speak to specifics. So, if you see somebody doing a very specific task, you want to make sure you speak to that, not just, hey, thanks for your work today. Catch them in the moment where you see them doing something really well and be specific to that. Words of affirmation is the most common one. But it only hits about 48% of people. So all the other languages are as important to know about as well. This just happens to be the one people naturally go to say thank you for your hard work. Avoid the global comments, and then affirmation for character traits. So not just doing a good job or completing a task, but your character traits, perseverance, courage, honesty, integrity. We all have, again, that intrinsic value. So it's important to talk to those as well. Or personality traits. Some people are more organized than others. Or if somebody's, just style, like the DISC style, the DIS and C. If someone is a D, which stands for dominance, they're more focused on results. So you can speak to praising that type of personality trait. So that's a little bit about words of affirmation and the different types that you can speak to there when it comes to appreciation. Now, common settings are important. It's important that we capture how people like to be appreciated if words of affirmation is their language. Do they like it one-on-one, individual? Do they like it in public? And do they like it small setting, large setting, verbal, written? So just you can get real granular and get very specific as to what people prefer. So for example, words of affirmation happens to be one of my appreciation languages. And so I was being given a reward at my former company, and I was invited to go on stage. All of a sudden, I'm sitting in the sea of like 300 of my teammates, coworkers, managers, colleagues, and I hear, "Erin, Lighty, come up on stage." And that was probably the worst thing you could do to me. So I have no idea what was said, but I was handed a certificate and a gift card. And I said to my manager later, I said, please don't do that again. It was very uncomfortable for me. So some people may really like that, and some people may not like that. But maybe they appreciate the smaller setting, just maybe 3 or 4 of their teammates, getting the recognition that way. Or just a handwritten note, thank you for, working really late this week. I noticed you were, really staying late, and I really appreciate you doing that. So, a handwritten card, gesture, and all that. Now, avoid hollow praise, right? So you want to make sure you're specific and it's sincere, and then matching your tone to your body language. You don't want to just be checking the box and saying, well, I'm only saying this because I have to. So just make sure it's genuine, it's authentic, it's meaningful, it's specific to what you see them doing. Any blind spots we can think of for our words of affirmation?
Yeah, so I have a blind spot in terms of words of affirmation, but there's been some people here chatting online. One was Wes Wyatt says, my favorite thing is when they give you a gift card from where you work and there's swag written all over it. So, that's a blind spot. My blind spot is words of affirmation and not realizing the importance that a handwritten note had. I always thought, that's my wife's thing. She's kind of touchy like that or feely, she likes to, do those sort of things where you say thank you in a card and all that stuff. But it really means a lot to have somebody give you a handwritten thank you card. So, I mean, that is a big blind spot. It was a big blind spot of mine. And I now have a whole deck of these thank you cards sitting on my desk, though. I'm making them out now. Aaron, you're going away.
Oh, awesome. Okay, I'm waiting.
Right.
So I love the example of, the swag gifts and all that. And that's definitely a really good example when we talk about our gifts segment when it comes to appreciation languages. The next one, let's see. The next one is quality time. So again, half the people are under words of affirmation, and then there's the majority of them are under the rest of these. So one would be quality time, and that's quality conversation, actually spending time with your employee, your team member, and just asking, how are things going, and really listening and really, being there to listen, not to talk, but just to listen and capture. And then empathetic listening. So, people, there's so many books and workshops about listening and how to listen well. And it's just a matter of making sure you don't have distractions, you've got good eye contact, and you're listening to understand. Listen to understand what they're saying. You don't always have to agree with them, but you at least want to acknowledge that you heard them and that you were listening. So quality conversation, shared experiences, going out and doing activities together as a team. Sometimes, we can't do that right now, but we could probably do a little bit small group setting, that type of thing. Just having those shared experiences, you get a chance to get to know people and build relationships and build a memory together and always have that moment to speak to. And for someone who has quality time as their language, appreciation language, they'll speak to their experience for a long time and the different relationships they built as a result of that. And then small group dialogue, inviting them to share ideas and to share suggestions. Somebody who has the appreciation language of quality time, they really want their ideas heard. So if there's an opportunity to get a small group together to understand kind of what ideas they have to either improve the team or improve productivity or just improve overall culture, invite small group dialogue. We used to have at an organization, the HR leader, she had pizza with Paula. So she would invite various people from the HR team. She didn't know everybody, but she wanted to get to know them and she wanted to kind of hear, ideas from all the HR team members. And so she would have pizza with Paula and 5 or 6 people would be invited. You just get to share ideas. Not everybody would necessarily want to meet with her one-on-one. It might be a little intimidating, but if you have a small group setting, it's a really good time to do that and to really have that quality time with someone. So again, common settings, lunch outing, if your restaurants aren't shut down and you can just, maybe grab a sandwich and head to a picnic area, you can do that. If you're in your office, just do a quick drive by. How are you doing? Just want to, spend a minute and just check in and see how you're doing, outside of actual work related things, just how are you doing? Go for a walk, do an off-site retreat, maybe a sporting event you can all do together. And then especially now, just pick up the phone. How are you doing? How's your day going? How's your family? Just check in on them and see how they're doing before even talking about anything work related. Avoid going through the motions. Make sure it's genuine and sincere. Make sure you're there physically and emotionally. So again, you're putting all your distractions aside. You're not checking email. You're not on your cell phone, and you're just really there and genuine. And then have that positive attitude, of course. What blind spots can we think of for this?
One of the biggest blind spots that I have is listening and just being an intentional listener. So I've actually invested in a couple of books that have helped me quite a lot with listening. And one of the actually both they're both by John Maxwell. John Maxwell is known as a leadership coach. He helps people to become better leaders, but a big part of leading is listening. And one book, the two books that I have, one is the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, and that's one book, the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. The second book is the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. Write those down, get those books, read them online, whatever, but soak them in because there's a lot of good information in there.
Yep, I would agree. Listening is, it's not easy when we really think about it. We tend to have our own agenda in our head, and that is a clear blind spot when, we're not focused, we're not making sure we are there to listen, to understand. And a lot of times it's important to repeat back what you heard to demonstrate you listened. So that's a good example. The next one is acts of service. So I think we've all heard the term actions speak louder than words. So people want to actually be shown they're appreciated, not told they're appreciated. So, just helping them out with their job, serving them. A true leadership does require that willingness to serve others, but also serving effectively. Just help them out if they're overloaded, overwhelmed. If they've just had a really unusually busy week, how can you help them? How can you jump in and really take some of their work off their plate? This doesn't mean just do their job for them. This is when they're at a time when overwhelmed and they just kind of are feeling buried and they need a little bit of a rescue. I had an example of this when I used to work at Safe Light, the auto glass place. And I'm sure we've all experienced, windshield cracks or whatever in Safe Light, maybe helped you out. But I worked at the corporate office, and that's where the call center was. And we just had a really bad winter one year where the entire country was being impacted by bad weather. So the call center was overwhelmed, being hit really hard. So they put a call out to everybody in corporate office to come help out. And we did. We went, we served willingly, we served effectively. We learned how to do the job their way, not necessarily our way, but we had to do it their way because there's certain things you have to do to get the windshield scheduled and all that. But it was really fun when I went in to help out. I saw the CEO of the company sitting there with a headset taking phone calls, and I saw executives and I saw vice presidents, and it was just very humbling. And then we all got to experience what it was like to work in the call center. So we had a new appreciation for that work as well. So that's just an example of, doing that acts of service in the workplace and really serving effectively. So things you can do, obviously stay late, help them out, if, now that we're maybe not in the workplace setting, but just check in and say, hey, it's late in the day, it's time to wrap it up. Is there anything I can do to help you out so we can wrap up our day sooner? Help out with like the menial tasks, throw all hands on deck if there's a big project up against a critical timeline, and then maximize on those strengths. Make sure that you are identifying the people that are good at what needs to be done. I was asked to do acquisitions at my last company, and it requires a lot of detail and a lot of spreadsheet work and accuracy and stuff I don't like, and I would not say it's a strength of mine. But I had to do it and I didn't enjoy it. And then I had a coworker who said, I would love to be a part of that. I would love to be able to do acquisitions. I love the detail. I love the data part. I love spreadsheets. I'm like, yours, go for it. You're better at it. Let's trade jobs for a couple of weeks. Just because somebody's in a certain role, if somebody is better at a type of work, then it's good to really maximize that and use that. Again, serve willingly and have a positive attitude while you're doing the work and helping them out. Any blind spots for this, Brian?
I really think we can change our mindset when it comes to acts of service. So, it's like I compare it to recycling. I used to not want to recycle, but after my wife told me about it and why I should be doing it, I of course I did what she asked, but you know,
That's a wise man.
right? But you know, it's like once you start doing it, then you realize that you're doing it for the better good, and then it kind of rolls into other areas of your life. So you know, that mindset of recycling, just that little portion from our house, now goes with my mindset. It changed my mindset, and it kind of goes on from there to my workplace and to my community and to my, you know, all that stuff. So and yes, David Young says happy wife is a better life, but he's right. So that's just the mindset makes a big difference.
Yep, exactly. The next one is gifts. So,
Little books.
sorry?
No, I see Mike McCormick has 2 other books to recommend. Go ahead. You're good.
Me? Okay. Um, yeah, make sure you capture so we can all hear what those books are. So the next one is gifts. And, you know, again, not raises or bonuses, you know, that's not considered a gift. That's probably just a standard company thing. No swag, like we've mentioned earlier, no company swag, something that is meaningful. So making sure you're getting the right gift for the right person, and it's meaningful and it's something they will value. So it's a matter of getting to know them and what they like. I think anybody and everybody who's been around me or has worked with me knows that I like cats. So people who are constantly gifting me with anything cat related, cat notebook, cat pen, cat magnet, all that stuff. So, you know, you might know cat person, you might know dog person, you know, if there's somebody has kids, you know, just getting to know what is important to them. So what do you think they would enjoy? What have you learned about them that they would enjoy? What are some of their interests? What would they appreciate? Maybe even consider that extra day off. You know, if they've worked really hard and put in a lot of extra time, took work home, maybe you can gift them with a day to spend with their family. That might mean a lot to them. But hopefully you've gotten to know them well enough to know what they would enjoy, and you're not assuming something. So again, don't assume everyone likes the same thing. Don't assume everyone likes Starbucks gift cards or Chipotle gift cards, right? So I personally don't like Starbucks, but I was gifted a lot of Starbucks gift cards. So it's just, you know, word of caution not to assume that everybody likes those things. And then just, again, avoid those company branded gifts. Make sure it's thoughtful and make sure it's personal. And it's through getting to know them through conversation. One of my former leaders, she was really good at just chit chat at the beginning of any of our meetings. You know, how are you doing? What's new in your world? How's your husband? How's your family? All of this, you know, and then just got to know us and kind of our life and what we did outside of work. And, you know, it came up that I did dance for many, many years, and she just casually asked me one day if I still enjoyed going to, you know, the different dance events and ballets and all that. And I said, yes, for sure. And she gifted me with tickets to the Nutcracker one year. So, I mean, that was meaningful. She knew it was something I would enjoy, and it's now a memory. And, you know, I'm now sharing it with you. So I'm talking about it. And so you want to make sure that you have the genuine piece behind it. Brian, what blind spots do we see with gifts?
Yeah, I mean, you already mentioned the blind spots. You know, just not having the communication open with someone to where you don't really know them, you don't know their personality. You know, I think that's the biggest blind spot of all.
Yep, I would agree. Not assuming you know, and then, you know, making it a point to get to know them so it's genuine and authentic.
Right.
And then the least important language that we have is touch. It does show up a little bit, but, you know, just making sure it's workplace appropriate, and the common settings is just a handshake, high five, fist bump, pat on the back, that type of thing. So, you know, celebrating the end of a project, celebrating success, and just, you know, a good old high five or fist bump, you know, when appropriate and all that. Some organizations, when I've shared this with people, and I'm actually in the classroom, some organizations say, but we hug, you know, and some places do that. And if it's acceptable to everyone, then yes, that's fine, you know, when appropriate and not in part of COVID time. But, you know, there are some organizations that hugging is meaningful to them, and they do that. And as long as everybody's okay with it, and people who are receiving the hugs, you know, are okay with it, then that's fine. Okay, So real quick, and just a quick summary of kind of what we've gone through and captured. People do want to feel appreciated at work. Most people don't, but they are also motivated to work harder when they feel appreciated. So we want to capture that, and then speak their appreciation language in an authentic way. And this will lead to improved engagement, improved productivity, and just happier people at work. Statistically, this is where most people land. Words of affirmation, about 48% of people have that language. And then service and acts of service and quality time make up another significant amount. Small percent for gifts, and then a small percent for touch. So you're probably wondering, well, how do I know what their language is, right? And sometimes you know based on what maybe you see them doing. If you see somebody who's always giving gifts to people, to teammates or whatever, then that's probably what their language is. It's because it's what they're doing. If you see somebody constantly praising people, most likely that's what their language is. And then same for service and time. But there also is an assessment. So you can take the assessment and you can identify what their appreciation language is. And it comes out and it looks a little bit like this. So I took it, you can see what my primary language is, you can see what my secondary language is. So it's words of affirmation, and then it's acts of service. But then it tells you how to apply it. So we have the what, and then we have the how. So it tells you how I like to be affirmed through words of affirmation, how I like my acts of service and all that. So somewhere it probably says, don't put me on stage, and it says to show appreciation in a small setting, but it tells you exactly the what and the how. And then everybody can benefit from this. You saw just a second ago, just a list of industries and types of employees, so really anybody can benefit from this in any workplace setting. If you're leading a group of volunteers, you can absolutely benefit from understanding appreciation language for volunteers. It'll actually improve your volunteers from coming back and wanting to do more. If you're sharing the appreciation in an authentic way to their specific language. So how do you do this? Well, here's the book. I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. So here's the book. You can get the book, The 5 Languages of Appreciation in the Workplace. Pretty sure it's on Amazon, and then every book has a link. So at the back of every book, there's a link. That's the link to an assessment to understand somebody's appreciation language. If you don't want the book and you just want a link, you can get a link through me. You just reach out to me, and there's a small cost for that, only because it costs me money to get it. So you're more than welcome to do that. I highly recommend you actually read the book. It's in parable format, so it's an easy and quick read. It gives really good examples as to different ways of showing appreciation under the different languages. So it really just kind of help embed that back into the culture and into the workplace. So that's pretty much in a nutshell, kind of a summary of everything. So we're curious as to what are you going to do differently? What are you thinking of implementing? I'm going to put a challenge out there that do something in the next 24 hours, apply something from today in the next 24 hours to somebody on your team, understanding, showing the appreciation in a genuine, authentic way and what you think their language might be. So I'm going to put that challenge out to you, but share with us what you're going to do differently, what you're going to implement, and maybe what, takeaway nugget you're going to do to help keep it alive, and then invite you for any final thoughts or questions. As we went through this, we're curious to hear how this applies to you and how you're going to use it. Give it a minute for people to type.
Yeah. I'm sure they're all typing vigorously. Just anything you have that you think you might be able to use. I mean, we're very interested in it. We want to make sure that our content is it's real, and it's having an effect on all of you and your businesses. So any helpful tips or tricks that you have learned from us, we'd love to know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, it looks like I have a comment from Gail. Oh, share this YouTube link with peers.
Awesome.
Oh, that's good to help alleviate the culture. That's a great idea. Huh.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks for being here, Gail. Glad you're here. Thank you.
Candy says we'll work with the managers to share what they have taught. Okay, cool. Rick says he likes the idea as long as it's work appropriate. Kate says tough to work. I guess I don't need to read all these because everybody can read them as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, all good information.
Yeah, I like Kate says to reach out to people individually. They talk as a group, but really doing that personal touch. That's good.
All right. And Wes works at home. Pat, okay, yeah. Appreciation seems to go farther. I would have to agree with that, Pat.
I agree too. Yep. As long as we are hitting the right mark with their appreciation language, 100%, it's going to go a lot further.
Yep. Okay.
Do we have a question in our Q&A box?
We do. David says, is there a different approach for recognition versus appreciation in a for-profit or a not-for-profit organization?
Say that one more time.
Yeah, he says, is there a different approach for recognition versus appreciation in a for-profit versus a not-for-profit organization?
I don't think for-profit or not-for-profit really makes a difference. I've worked for both for-profit and not-for-profit, and recognition programs are fairly structured in a very similar way when it comes to recognizing people for results, for doing a good job and for doing something that helped the company itself. So that I would say I haven't seen a huge difference between for-profit or not-for-profit, and then recognition programs just tend to be more structured. Appreciation is just more organic, more informal, and really same for that. There wouldn't be a big difference between profit or not-for-profit companies for that.
Okay, that's all I got. Back to you, Aaron.
All right. Okay. One quick comment, the gifting part may be different under appreciation too. That's true. Yes, you have to be cognizant of, limitations and budgets and all that. Yeah, so if somebody has a language of gift, what are cute little knickknacks you can maybe gift them, or what, whatever is appropriate and all that. I also know companies have thresholds when it comes to dollar amount and having to be taxed and all that. So that's something inside of your organization if that applies to you, just to be sensitive to that as well. So we have our next topic, and what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about DISC styles. So it's a personality style. You've probably heard of Myers-Briggs and several others, and I'm personally trained and certified in DISC. So we're going to talk a little bit about DISC style, and that speaks to communication and relationships, and then what are some of those potential blind spots when it comes to somebody's style and how that applies to relationships and communication. And that is on August 26th at 2 o'clock. So save the date, and we hope to see you back here for that. And yeah.
Survey.
I know, I'm not back to you to do survey. Yep.
All right. Sounds good. I'm about there. So we're going to pull the survey up now. Here we go. It has been about 45, 50 seconds. So we'll give him another 10 seconds And then we'll close the survey down. And 5. Okay, there we go. And your results. Good. So information provided was good. You'll implement some of the information. That's awesome. And then attended. You're glad you attended. That's even better. How about that? 100%. The team would benefit. Sure. Okay. Well, that's good. And you're planning to attend the next workshop. Nice. 88%. What a deal.
No pressure. No.
Yeah. Well, we'll make it another one, and we'll make it another good one. So thank you for joining us today.
Yep. Thanks for being here.
All
Enjoy
right.
the rest of your day.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.